There is a moment almost everyone carries from at least one relationship in their life. You are sitting across from someone and they say something about you that nobody else has ever noticed. Not a compliment, something deeper. They name the exact fear you have been hiding since childhood, the specific loneliness you have never said out loud, and your chest goes warm because for the first time in years, you feel completely seen. What you do not know yet is that this moment, the most understood you have ever felt, might be the most dangerous moment of your life. Most people believe they can spot a dangerous personality. We have been trained by movies and true crime to look for the cold ones, the empty eyes, the person who feels nothing. So when someone arrives with deep empathy, warmth, and emotional intelligence, we drop every defense we have. But psychology has uncovered a personality type that breaks this rule completely. The dark empath carries the manipulative core of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy combined with something that should be impossible: genuine empathy. And that combination makes this arguably the most dangerous personality type you will ever encounter, not because they hurt people more brutally, because you will never see them coming. Welcome back to Teeh Psyche. Today, we are breaking down the 10 signs of a dark empath, the psychology of how empathy becomes a weapon, and how to protect yourself from someone who can read you like an open book and has no intention of treating that book gently. What the research actually found. This is not internet pop psychology. In 2021, a research team led by Dr. Nadia Haim at Nottingham Trent University published a study in the journal Personality and Individual Differences that quietly disturbed the entire field. They assessed nearly 1,000 people for dark triad traits and for empathy and let the data sort people into natural groups. 4 profiles emerged. The typicals, average on everything. The empath, high empathy, and low dark traits. The traditional dark triad, high dark traits and low empathy. The classic villain profile psychology expected. And then a 4th group nobody was supposed to find. People who scored high on dark traits and high on empathy simultaneously. Nearly 1 in 5 people in the study fit this profile. The researchers named them dark empaths. To understand how a person can be empathic and dangerous at the same time, you need to know one thing. Empathy is not a single ability. Psychology splits it into 2 separate systems. The first is cognitive empathy, the ability to read another person, to build an accurate model of what they feel, what they fear, what they need, and what they will do next. The second is affective empathy, actually feeling the weight of someone's pain in your own body. The part that makes hurting people cost you something, the simplest way to picture the difference. Understanding someone is like holding the keys to their inner rooms. A genuine empath uses those keys to open doors for you, to let light in, to sit with you in rooms you were afraid to enter alone. A dark empath quietly copies your keys. Same access, same intimacy. Completely different intention. The reading system runs at full power, mapping you with surgical precision, while the moral break that should make exploitation painful is either quiet or simply outvoted by what they want. The 10 signs. Sign 1, they understand you suspiciously fast. Most human closeness is slow. It takes months for someone to learn your triggers, your history, your soft spots. A dark empath compresses that timeline into weeks, sometimes days. On a second date or in the first month of a friendship, they are already finishing your emotional sentences. It feels like fate. It is not. It is data collection performed by someone with an exceptional reading system and a reason to hurry. Real intimacy grows at the speed of trust. Manufactured intimacy grows at the speed of intention. Sign 2, they confess first, so you will confess more. Early on, they hand you something vulnerable, a painful childhood story, a fear, a failure. Your nervous system reads this as safety and reciprocity kicks in. They opened up, so you open up further. But watch the exchange rate. Their disclosures stay controlled and repeatable. The same polished stories told the same way, while yours go deeper every time. Strategic vulnerability is not sharing. It is bait engineered by someone who knows exactly how disclosure works. Sign 3. Their guilt trips land with impossible precision. Anyone can say you never make time for me. A dark empath says the thing that hits the exact wound. They know you fear becoming your absent father, so when you set a boundary, they sigh and say, "You are getting harder to reach lately, just like you always said he was." That is not a lucky shot. Cognitive empathy tells them where the nerve is. The dark traits give them permission to press it. Sign 4, their jokes know too much. In front of the group, they make a joke about the one thing you told them privately. Your weight, your divorce, your money problems, calibrated perfectly, so the room laughs and you cannot object without looking oversensitive. If you do object, you get the standard escape hatch. Relax, it was just a joke. Malicious humor is one of the documented signatures of this profile, and it works because it is deniable. The audience saw comedy, only you felt the blade. Sign 5, they turn people against each other without leaving fingerprints. A dark empath rarely attacks directly. Instead, they mention to one friend what another friend supposedly said. They express concern about a coworker to the boss, wrapped in kindness. "I'm only telling you this because I care about her." Weeks later, two people who used to be close are cold to each other, and the person who caused it is comforting both sides. Psychologists call this relational aggression, harming someone through their relationships instead of to their face. It requires a detailed map of the social terrain, and nobody holds better maps. Sign 6, your secrets come back as leverage. In the warm phase, they collected everything. Your insecurities, your family conflicts, your mistakes. And for a while, nothing happens. Then the first time you seriously displease them, something you shared in confidence reappears aimed at you. Sometimes as an open threat, but more often as a quiet reminder that they know, delivered so softly you cannot even call it a threat. The intimacy was real in one direction only. You were building a bond, they were building a file. Sign 7, they go cold on schedule, then watch. Suddenly the warmth switches off. Short replies, distant tone, no explanation. When you ask what is wrong, they say nothing, "I am fine." Then, once you are anxious and working to win them back, the warmth returns as if nothing happened. This is not moodiness, it is calibration. The withdrawal is a controlled experiment to measure how much you will chase, how much you will apologize for things you did not do, how much power they hold over you. Sign 8, their goodness always has an audience. Publicly, they may be the most compassionate person you know. First, to organize the fundraiser. First, to comfort a crying colleague in the open office where everyone can see, but track where the empathy flows, overwhelmingly toward moments with witnesses and people with status. When you eventually try to tell someone what they did to you in private, you are contradicting a saint. They did not just manipulate you, they spent years pre-building the jury. Sign 9, their compassion, has a customer list. Watch them across a full week and a pattern appears. Endless patience for the manager whose approval they need, warm attentiveness to the new person they are drawing in, and flickers of contempt, boredom, or casual cruelty toward whoever can do nothing for them. The waiter, the intern, the old friend who is already fully secured. Genuine empathy is indiscriminate because it is involuntary. When empathy switches on and off according to someone's usefulness, you are not watching a feeling. You are watching a tool being picked up and put down. Sign 10, how they treat you the moment you stop being useful. Maybe you set a real boundary. Maybe you ran out of what they were extracting: attention, status, access, admiration. And the person who once understood you better than anyone looks at you with polite, finished indifference and moves on to someone new with frightening ease. To them, you were never really a person. You were an instruction manual, and they simply finished reading it. All that understanding you mistook for love was comprehension, and comprehension on its own was never loyalty. How to protect yourself. You cannot outread a dark empath. Trying to become a better analyst than they are is like challenging a locksmith to a lockpicking contest. What you can control is what you hand over and what you do with what you observe. 3 principles. First, watch what they do with your vulnerability, not how well they understand it. Understanding is cheap for this personality type. Run small tests before you run big ones. Share something minor and see where it travels. Does it stay protected, or does it surface later as a joke, a jab, or gossip? A person's handling of your smallest disclosure is the most accurate preview of how they will handle your largest one. Judge the hands, not the eyes. Second, respect the speed limit of trust. The single most reliable protection against manufactured intimacy is time, because time is the one thing a manipulator cannot fake at scale. Masks slip across months. Stories contradict themselves. When someone pushes for accelerated closeness, deep disclosure in week 1, declarations in week 3, you are allowed to feel flattered and still slow down. Anyone genuinely worth trusting will survive being trusted gradually. Third, trust the ledger, not the feeling. Dark empaths win in the realm of feelings. That is their home field. So when you are confused about someone, step out of feelings and into records. Not what they said, but what happened, who apologized, and who only explained, whose secrets got exposed and who stayed safe, who was left anxious after every conflict. Written down plainly, patterns that felt like a complicated, passionate connection, often read as something much simpler. One person being managed by another. And one more thing before you go. Some of you watching have felt an uncomfortable flicker of recognition, not in someone else but in yourselves. Maybe you know you can read people deeply, and you know you have used it once or twice in ways you are not proud of. Hear this clearly? These traits live on a continuum. A flicker of darkness noticed and questioned is not the profile we have been describing. The dark empath's defining feature is not ability. It is what they choose to do with it repeatedly, without the choosing ever costing them anything. The same skill that makes one person a predator makes another person a protector. Someone who spots manipulation across a room and steps between it and the people they love. The key cutting skill is identical. The hands are not. Your defense was never going to be paranoia or a colder heart. It is discernment, the quiet discipline of letting understanding be proven by behavior before it is rewarded with trust. Out of the 10 signs we covered today, which one made you think of a specific person? Or which one did you recognize from a relationship you have already survived? Share it in the comments. And if you have been through this, if you spent years confused about someone who understood you perfectly and hurt you anyway, know that you are not gullible and you are not alone. You were up against a profile designed to be missed. Subscribe to Teeh Psyche for more hidden psychology every week.